everyone. Welcome to the Checkered Chat. I'm Justin,
I'm Blake.
and we're here to wrap up the Martinsville weekend with a recap over the Truck, Xfinity, and Cup Series race this weekend. But before we get into the actual race weekend, Blake, what we got for some news from this week?
So Larson unveils his paint scheme for the double this year, the IndyCar and the NASCAR, and announces that there's going to be a documentary to go along with, his a double attempt this year. Which personally, I think I liked last year's schemes more for the double, but it still looks good.
Which the documentary is covering last year and this year.
Oh, it's last year and this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
I found that out because I was like, why is it because I knew they were filming it last year.
Yeah.
So I expected oh yeah, there'll be something to come out later on this year. Probably right in time for the double, kind of hype it up and everything. But then when they said next year, I'm like, why is it going to be that long?
It probably is just because he didn't get to turn a lap at Charlotte.
I think that they'll probably really dive into that and how heartbreaking and all that stuff it was and all that good stuff.
But then, so for some other news, Darlington is going to be in Fortnite. I guess that's what we're doing now is we're putting NASCAR tracks in Fortnite. I know they did that with Daytona at one point, or they had some deal with Bowman.
Mm-hmm.
But that's interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Apparently, I guess Fortnite has like a racing section of it.
Huh.
I don't know. I've never played Fortnite.
It must have been added since I've played Fortnite.
Yeah, I mean, I think I may have played it once, like during COVID, and I wasn't very good.
Yeah.
So that would make sense why I didn't play.
Legacy Motor Club is suing Rick Ware Racing over a charter agreement. The agreement was that Rick Ware Racing was going to sell a charter to Legacy for the 2026 season, but apparently Rick Ware Racing thought when they got it and signed it and everything that it was they were still going to have it for 2026, but they were selling it off for the 2027 season. So when they figured out that they were going to have to give it up in 26, not 27, they then tried starting to back out of it, and now Legacy suing them over it.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting, considering that that charter is Corey LaJoy's car.
Is it?
I mean,
yeah. Well,
no, it's not. No, it's not because that's open.
Yeah.
It's just all prepared by Rick Ware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the only charter, so they would be selling off their only charter.
So they would be competing as
an
open team. That's odd. When I saw all this, I was like, that's really odd.
Well, the other thing too, at least what went through my mind was kind of like how we've touched on RCR in the past, where it's like, why are we thinking about adding a third maybe if we can't get the two we have right now running good? Is it's like,
I mean, is Rick Ware like, oh, we're going to close up shop? Like,
and then also, is it like Legacy Motor Club's been decent this year, but like, do they need? I mean, I'm sure you want a third. That'd be great. But like, do you need a third?
Yeah.
Who's gonna drive it? Like, is that where Corey Haim's gonna sadly end up at?
I mean, if we're gonna be honest, I mean, we talked about Toyota seats last week, and I mean, that's the only if 2311 doesn't kick the bucket to one of their.
Or, I mean, do you send Riley Herbst over to Legacy Motor Club,
and bring Court?
Yeah, I don't know. But then also too, like with talks of like a fourth manufacturer coming in, Legacy is one of the teams that I would expect when a new manufacturer comes in to just jump ship and get with a new one.
Yeah, no, I mean, I could see that happening.
That would just be a team that I feel like would make sense on that maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
Because they're not high in the Toyota pecking order of like being the team or anything. Like
No, they're not.
they're third.
Yeah, they're third for sure.
It's an interesting deal.
Definitely.
Then it's announced that Zilich will be running his second ever Cup Series race at the Coke 600 this year.
Yep. I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
It'll be cool to. I think it's funny that it's like, oh, it's your second race. We're gonna put you in the longest race that there is.
I mean, he's looked good on ovals this year so far in the Xfinity Series. Maybe surprising some people, you know. I mean, everybody knew he was good, but I don't know if everybody knew that he'd be able to translate it that well to the ovals of NASCAR. So
Yeah.
I mean, maybe, you know, that's just gonna up his stock even more to be a Cup driver in the near future.
Yeah, definitely. I could see that because I mean, he showed a lot of promise this weekend on a short track.
Yeah.
Which was nuts to see because I mean, you know, everybody has been like, oh, he's just gonna, in Xfinity, he's just gonna dominate the road courses and stuff. But
it's gonna be SVG. Like it's gonna be SVG's last year, basically. Like he's gonna win a lot of the road courses, and he's gonna look all right at ovals, and that's it.
Yeah, but he actually is showing some like real promise on the ovals, which is pretty cool to see for sure. So penalties for this week. There wasn't any in Cup that
Well, Eric Jones got disqualified.
Oh yeah, that's true. Eric Jones did get DQ'd from his like 24th place position.
It was like I'm pretty sure it actually was 24th. The car didn't meet weight after the race.
Yeah. So you had that in Cup, and then the absolute train wreck that the Xfinity race was. Sammy Smith was penalized 50 points and fined $25,000 due to his last lap shove on Taylor Gray. My bad.
Shove is putting it nicely.
Him coming from 4 car lengths back and absolutely ramming the crap out of him, like, yeah. So
we'll get more into that.
Yeah, but he was fined 50 points fined $25,000 and deducted 50 points.
Which I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, valid. It's
the only way you're gonna get a handle on that not stemming into even more.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. We'll get into that later.
Yeah.
Get into that one later. So on to the actual races of the weekend. We had trucks on Friday night. So the truck race starts off. Are we surprised? Corey Heim won the pole.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think anybody is surprised by that. Has there been a pole that he hasn't won?
Like this year?
Yeah. I don't think that there I want to say he's won every one.
I'm gonna see if that's something I can check quickly. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, the dude is just.
No, he started 3rd at Daytona.
Okay.
He started 19th at Atlanta. 16th at Vegas.
Okay, so he hasn't won every single one of them, but he's won a lot of them.
Yeah.
For sure. But getting into the race starts off lap 13. Ryan Roulette spins after contact with Corey Heim while running 34th, and this is like at the point of Corey Heim reaching lap traffic.
Yeah, like starting to put people a lap down.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of just looked like Ryan Roulette was trying his best to get out of the way and
Corey Heim was like,
Yeah.
"You're not moving fast enough for me."
pretty much.
Here, you take the next one. I'm gonna
Okay.
make sure that this video is still recording.
And then lap 24, Lane Riggs spins from contact with Connor Mozak. They were battling for fifth, and that happened in turns 3 and 4. And then that was all the drama for stage 1, all the accidents. Lap 50, the end of stage 1, Corey Heim wins. And then stage 2 was pretty uneventful also.
Radio silent, basically.
Yeah, I mean, Corey Heim wins stage 2. That one ended on lap 100. And then stage 3, typically where these races get interesting with a lot of incidents and whatnot. So lap 115, Luke Baldwin, which this was his debut in the truck series. First time he's ran any NASCAR race.
Mm-hmm.
Short track guy. He spins from contact with Corey Day in turns 1 and 2. They were battling around 20th. Next one, lap 148, also involves Corey Day. This time he got ran into by Dawson Sutton in turn 2. They were again right around 20th, and this time Day actually got a little bit of damage and got in the wall. And then another repeater. Luke Baldwin again spins from 7th after Jake Garcia makes contact with him, and then Matthew Gold also received damage in that incident.
Yeah, just kind of got collected in that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the widest track in the world. It can cause a jam pretty quick if there's a multi-car incident.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, whenever you're talking about going 3 wide, and it's like almost like not every time they go 3 wide does something happen, but
more times than not.
Yeah,
it's hard to make it through a turn at Martinsville 3 wide.
Yeah, definitely.
And then lap 167, Corey Heim cuts a left rear tire after contact with Caden Honeycutt. They were having a good battle for the lead there, and I don't necessarily think it was just a racing deal. I don't think Honeycutt meant to get into like Heim where he did. I definitely think like there's no way he was trying to cut his tire down or he was trying to it was just coming off the turn, got into each other. It's just racing deal. I mean, sucks for Corey Heim, dominated the day.
Yeah, I mean,
and that kind of set him back.
Stage 1 and 2, and then doesn't have anything to show for it.
Yeah, which I mean,
than, winning stages, but yeah.
And it's kind of like last weekend, at Miami, he was dominating. It looked like it was his race, and then at the end he had issues, and he couldn't seal the deal. It's just unfortunate. I mean, I definitely think he's week in, week out the fastest guy on the track.
Oh yeah, I mean he's the face of the Truck Series race right now.
Yeah,
no doubt about that.
And then lap 197, Jack Wood, Grant Enfinger, and Tanner Gray all get together and spin. Lap 187, Ty Majeski makes contact with Caden Honeycutt, and they both spin out. Honeycutt backs it into the outside wall and gets a lot of damage on that one. That was a battle for the lead, I believe, also.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, Ty Majeski's a very good short track racer. He normally, if he doesn't start his way, or if he doesn't start up front, he finds a way throughout the race to be there when it all matters at the end.
Yeah.
Lap 192, Jake Garcia gets a poor start on the outside row of the front, or on the outside of the front row of what ended up being the final restart of the day, and that allowed Tyler Ankrum to get out to the lead and Daniel Hemrick to pass him, get second. And then after a very clean battle between Hemrick and Ankrum, which, I mean, they were teammates, so you kind of
expected that.
Yeah, and you really hoped for it at least, too.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Ankrum's been a Truck Series driver for a few years now, and Daniel Hemrick's coming back down into it now after being in the Cup Series last year. So, I mean, I definitely think that was one where you kind of expected it to be a very clean battle, even if they weren't teammates, probably, honestly.
Yeah.
But on lap 197, Hemrick clears Ankrum, and he ends up going on to win the race.
Yep.
Which was his second win in all time, all 3 series.
Wow.
The last time he won a race was at Phoenix when he won his Xfinity Series championship. His first career win got him a championship.
That's nuts.
He did a backflip off the truck, which is pretty cool.
I saw that. But the Xfinity fastest lap went to Corey Heim, and your top 5 from Truck Series race was Daniel Hemrick, Tyler Ankrum, Jake Garcia, Chandler Smith, and Ben Rhodes.
Which, a little bit of foreshadowing here, but it's nice when you can see a race end where the 2 people battling for the lead at the end show each other respect, and then you finish 1-2.
Yeah.
So now, on to, as Mike Joy called the Xfinity Series, a dumpster fire. But then he doubled down
and said it wasn't a dumpster fire because a dumpster fire is contained.
Yeah. He was cooking on that one.
Yeah. I just think it's funny that it was him who said that.
I mean, it makes sense, honestly, at the end of the day, because he's a very old school guy, and that would never fly in old school racing.
For sure. But I mean, just for him to refer to it as a dumpster fire was just hilarious.
So, incidents in the Xfinity Series start at lap 54. Feels like we're saying this name a lot. Corey Day gets into turn 1 way too hot, gets into Harrison Burton, and they both get in the wall. Which, Corey Day, if you don't know, is one of the better dirt racers in all of America. And he's kind of been tagged as like Larson's prodigy. He's signed a development deal with Hendrick, so he's running certain amount of races in the Xfinity car for Hendrick this year, certain amount of races in trucks this year, trying to get his foot in NASCAR, get his feet wet, see what it's all about. And it's a struggle right now. Not to say he's not talented or anything, but like it's taken him a second to get used to, just asphalt racing in general, because I want to say like his starting in NASCAR this year was like the first times he's ever really ran on asphalt.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure there were a few here and there, but like notable races.
Yeah.
And that was it for stage 1. Connor Zilic goes on to win stage 1. Lap 81, Garrett Smithley spins off turn 4 when he was about to get lapped. Brandon Jones and Connor Zilic were coming up on him, and they both like locked it down, tried not to get into him, and Zilic couldn't stop fast enough and got in the back of Jones, which damaged the front. I believe like the passenger side nose of Zilic's car, and then got the back quarter panel or the driver's side quarter panel of Brandon Jones pretty good too.
Yeah, because that damage you could just tell for pretty much the rest of the day, like it's kind of like the start of Zilic's downfall for this race.
It started the snowball.
Yeah.
And it kept rolling.
Yeah.
Lap 95, Dean Thompson spins in 1 and 2. I think that was just single car.
Yeah, he didn't collect any kind of damage from it.
But then that was really it for stage 2. Connor Zilic wins stage 2. And that was the 3rd time in the last 5 Martinsville Xfinity races where drivers swept both stages. And the last 2 times it happened, the driver went on to win. So everything, even though, Zilic had a little bit of damage, everything was looking up, honestly, at that point of his day.
Yeah.
He led every lap of stage 1. He dominated stage 2 for the most part. I'm pretty sure he didn't lead every lap, but he ended up winning it. And it kind of looked like he was the guy to beat. But then moving on, in stage 3, lap 140, Harrison Burton gets spun by Thomas Oh Lord.
Annunziata.
Yeah. That sounds right.
Yeah, that's the only way I could think that.
Sorry if we butchered your name.
Yeah.
If you listen, you know what? Sorry.
Yeah.
But he spun him. But so I follow a page on Instagram. It was like NASCAR old times or something like that. It's just like a bunch of old pictures, old paint schemes, different stuff like that. Well, Thomas actually runs that, and I didn't realize that until he'd signed the deal to run in the Xfinity Series this year, because he made a post about like he was going to be posting on it less. He's focusing on his racing career now. So I kind of kept up on his Instagram with what he's been doing this year, and he ran a Toyota car in the Trans Am Series, and it was like one of the first, or it was either the new body style or one of the first times Toyotas ran in it, and he won a race, like a road course race at Road Atlanta.
Okay.
So overall, I mean, he seems like he has skill.
Yeah.
I'll give him benefit of the doubt on that.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Lap 154, Sam Mayer squeezes Carson Quapfel into the wall when they're battling for 11th. And, yeah, here's where it really just snowballs.
Yeah. This is where the match is thrown in.
Connor Zilic on lap 176 spins out from 17th in turn 1. Lap 192, Carson Ware spins out in turn 2 and ends up stopping on track. I don't know if motor shut off, car stalled out, what it was, but he stopped long enough that they threw a caution for it. Lap 201, Harrison Burton's day at this point in the day, he's missing the whole nose off the front of the car. I mean, the car looks like it's ready to go get crushed or be in a junkyard somewhere. I mean, this just spins in turn 3 and 4, and that was kind of his day.
Yeah.
He didn't really... He looked, when he wasn't getting ran into, he looked like he had speed.
Yeah.
I mean, which is the way he's been running so far this year is to be expected. And
Definitely.
then lap 206, Greg Van All stalls on the front stretch, bringing on another caution. So, you go 201, 206. Now, lap 210, Dean Thompson spins from 10th, entering turn 1. Lap 217. Carson Quapfel spins. Excuse me. He spins in turn 1, collecting Jesse Love, and then they both show their displeasure with one another. When they spun out and ended up like washing up towards the wall, they were pretty much like looking each other in the eyes, like nose of the cars were lined up, and I mean, Quapfel felt like Jesse Love got in there too hot and wrecked him, and I'm sure Jesse Love wasn't too thrilled. They ended up just driving straight into one another.
Yeah.
Like, Quapfel drove into Love, and then Love drove into Quapfel, and that ended up actually... I'm pretty sure that was the damage that knocked Jesse Love out of the race, because it looked like it knocked the radiator out of it. It was leaking a lot of fluid, and he ended up taking it behind the wall.
Yeah. That definitely... I think, and you know what? I'll save it for the end of this of what I think NASCAR should let happen.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Lap 232, Sam Mayer gets into Christian Eckes off turn 2, which ends up spinning Eckes out, and then in the process, coming down the track, collects Daniel Dye, Nick Sanchez, Josh Williams, Kyle Sieg, and Myatt Snyder. And that one ended up being a red flag too, to clean the track up. It was late in the race. Didn't want to run all the laps down.
Yeah, makes sense. Good move there on NASCAR.
I think it's good when they do that at the end of like Xfinity and truck races, because a lot of times, and us included, I think we feel like you get towards the end and it's like, ooh, sweet, a caution, let's wind it down to overtime. But yeah, so lap 242, Connor Zilic spins off turn 4, collects William Sawalich, and then also Jeremy Clements gets involved in that accident. And then on lap 256,
I just read what you wrote in the
it all goes to hell. I mean,
yes, it does.
I'm trying to think where I want to start on this. Sammy Smith and Taylor Gray were racing for the lead. And Taylor Gray got around Sammy Smith in about the cleanest possible way you could ever imagine. For it being Martinsville, you're going to have to use a little bit of bumper, put your elbows out a little bit. You're going to have to be a little aggressive. But, overall, didn't destroy anything, honestly didn't really do anything wrong. I think roles reversed. Well, ideally, when the roles were reversed, you would want Sammy Smith to do that and return to race clean. If you can get around him, cool. If you can't, oh well. Well, Sammy Smith, apparently Sammy Smith and Taylor Gray have history. That's what it sounded like afterwards. But he just dives it on in, turn 3, shades of Austin Dillon at Richmond.
Yeah, definitely.
Way too far back. Never
Roughly,
should you ever.
Like 4 car lengths back.
Yeah. Enough where, that's something that, you would do in a video game just to be like, let's see if this works.
Yeah.
And if you don't have Taylor Gray in front of you, that car is destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
You're not making the turn. He was just banking on getting in there hot enough to hit Taylor Gray and make it. So that moves Taylor Gray up the hill. And then, watching it, Allgaier looks like he's in an all right spot. And then Allgaier gets moved up the hill by Austin Hill because he said, everybody else is driving like an idiot. Hold my beer. Watch this. Yeah. I'm going to just floor it on the bottom and see if it sticks. And then you see Austin Hill coming to the checkered flag, and it looks like a war zone's going off behind them. Like bombs are dropping. I mean, there's cars going inside wall, outside wall. They're backwards. There's smoke everywhere. There's pieces of the cars flying. So, yeah, Austin Hill wins, and the fastest lap goes to Sammy Smith. Now, when it comes to the way that race ended, it's ugly. It's not a good look. It's a black eye on the sport because a lot of people that aren't as big into NASCAR, let's say that like open wheel or other forms of motorsports, that just validates their whole, all NASCAR is beating and banging and you're going to wreck and it's just a bunch of rednecks that don't know how to drive. They just drive in a circle. How hard can it be? Then, after it's all said and done, they kind of show the infield care center where Sammy Smith and Taylor Gray are having words. And there's that one, I wish I knew the guy's name, but there's that one NASCAR security guard that if there's a fight about to happen, he's in the middle of it.
Yep.
And he's on it.
He's their guy.
And after this, I honestly think Taylor Gray should be able to absolutely just go off on Sammy Smith. He should be able to punch him. There should be a fight. Mm-hmm. If you're going to pull that, you need to get hit in the teeth.
Yep.
Plain and simple. You used your car as a weapon. You then, they act all hard and ready to fight when there's people in between them.
Yeah.
And they're going to say everything they got to say and, whatever. But, honestly, if you're Sammy Smith and you get punched in the face and you get your ass whooped, you're not going to pull that same move again.
Yeah, that's the thing.
You're going to learn your lesson.
This is what I was going to say earlier. Honestly, I think this is what it should be. Allow fighting, but what you do hockey rules.
Yeah.
Someone hits the ground,
over.
It's over. And the thing is, I think that, one person pulls a move like that and they get their ass beat, it's other people are going to be like, oh, well, I don't want that to happen to me, so I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Because, bottom line, and Denny said it on his podcast, that kind of driving is not impressive.
In the slightest.
At all to any owners.
No. Because, and I heard this on, I think it was Dale Jr., or on Door Bumper Clear, Like, if you're gonna pull that move and you're just gonna go for it like that, you better win.
Yeah,
First
that's
of
the thing.
all.
It wasn't even
Like,
didn't even win.
yeah, but like, let's say he did win that. Cool, you won. Yay, congrats. You're not impressing anybody.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not to knock Sammy Smith like down a whole lot, because I think at the end of the day he's a good driver.
Yeah.
He definitely lost his head in this. I don't know what the background of Taylor Gray and Sammy Smith are, but also if you're Taylor Gray, last year in the Truck Series race, you get just moved out of the way and wrecked.
Yeah.
When you're full time there. It was in the playoffs. I mean, that's 2 times in a row. Like, in all honesty, Taylor Gray deserves to be able to go over there and start a fight and punch him in the face.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, like, the other thing, too, is they do that, so then Austin Hill's going to, and I mean, I don't know if that's unpopular to say that he just bullied his way to the lead from there, but I mean, at that point, it's hard for me to admit and say, because I don't like the guy all that much, but it's hard to blame him. You just see that in front of you, and then it's almost like, well,
it's a free-for-all,
like,
basically.
And I mean, I'm sure you look back in the pack, some of that wreck was stacking up, but some of it was probably, well, I want 2 more spots. Get out my way.
Yeah,
I'm gonna move
definitely.
you. Like,
yeah, it definitely was not impressive at all. It was a dumpster fire.
I mean, it was just. It's almost hard to, like, you sit there and you enjoy it. Honestly, to that point, what I feel like was a pretty good short track race.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't the best Xfinity short track race I can remember. But, I mean, you have some incidents. You have Zilich and, Quapfel and Jesse Love showing displeasure with each other. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, okay, is it a little, like, Bush League, whatever. Sure, maybe it's not the greatest thing, but it's short track racing. You expect a little bit of tempers. You expect, by the time you make it back to pit road, people not to be happy with each other, conversations to be had, maybe a shove, maybe, whatever. But then, like, you sit there and you watch the whole race, and you're expecting a good finish, and then you see that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even a Taylor Gray fan, and I felt real bad for the kid.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Because, I mean, he didn't do anything wrong. And they interviewed Sammy Smith. And, I mean, the only thing I will say is I'll give him props for being honest. I mean, it wouldn't be hard to sit there and say, I'm not talking about it. I'm declining. Don't get the camera out of my face. Or, well, what do you think happened? You saw it. I mean, he said... Now, I don't agree with hardly anything he said, don't get me wrong, because he was like, it just wouldn't sit well with me if I sat there and finished second. Well, why not?
Yeah, you're still finishing second.
I mean, you didn't dominate the race. The race wasn't supposed to be yours in a, like, just handed to you.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't do anything just egregious or over-aggressive to get the lead from you, so why can you not stomach there and sit in second? And then he said, well, anybody else would have done it. I think that's just a problem with the lower series of racing right now more than him.
Yeah.
Is that you're sitting there in the car and you're consciously thinking, well, somebody else would do it, so why not me?
Yeah.
And I think it all kind of, to an extent, circles back to the win in your end system.
Yeah. I'd say definitely to an extent, for sure.
Because, like, if you're sitting there and you think that's your best shot at making the playoffs, they tell you win and you're in, so win. Go for it.
Yeah.
Do what you got to do. Whatever. I mean, not that I'm going to sit here and agree with it, but I don't know. I wouldn't mind more penalties coming during the race.
Yes.
I understand on
definitely.
the last lap there's nothing you can do. You're going to have to make that a penalty for next week, but you could still hand it out at the track right then and there. By the time he parks on pit road, all right, this is what we're going to do. That was BS. Here it is. I want everybody here to know that before you go home, don't pull that again.
Yeah.
This is what's happening.
Yeah.
And then during the race, if something like that happens and you can just so obviously tell, hey, he just put so and so in the wall for absolutely no reason. He lost his cool.
Park him for 2 laps.
Something.
Because I mean, I feel like last year, and especially like in the truck series, we were seeing more black flag,
Like aggressive driving,
stuff like that happen.
Yeah.
It's like they need to do that more, I think.
And I mean, I don't, by any stretch of the imagination, want this to turn into F1 and you have the FIA sit up there and like investigate everything and hand out penalties for just dumb stuff. But at the same time, I don't know how to fix the issues going on without some sort of repercussions happening quickly. Because, like, if you. Well, for one, if you're a kid and you're watching this and you want to make it to NASCAR, then that looks fine to you.
Yeah.
So then that's going to translate into legend cars, into late model cars, like into stuff like that. But if you, as NASCAR, because I don't think it's necessarily all that bad in the Cup Series. Like, some of the drivers get their feelings hurt, but I don't think it's all that bad. But if in the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series, you kind of lay the law down a little bit and you show a spine and give people penalties like they deserve, I think it almost diffuses the situation, because then the racing gets cleaner. So then the kids that want to come up to it are like, well, we can't do that. That's not cool. That's not right.
Yeah.
They learn how to if that makes any sort of sense. Like,
yeah, no, I totally get what you're saying. I think the kind of the funniest thing out of all of this, and it just clicked to me.
Sheldon Creed finished second.
Yep. Even through all that,
that's how you know it's an Xfinity Series
still
race.
finishes second. So your top 5 was Austin Hill, Sheldon Creed, Justin Allgaier, Brennan Poole, and then Sam Mayer.
Which, that's big for Brennan Poole, because he's going to be in the Dash for Cash next week at Darlington.
Oh yeah, because he's a
regular.
Yeah, one car team, right? Or am I wrong?
I know low budget team. I can't remember if it's 1 car or 2 car, but I know it's like a small low budget team.
Gotcha.
So then that would mean your Dash for Cash next week would be Austin Hill, Sheldon Creed, Allgaier, and Poole. Which also in that mess, now that I'm looking at this and thinking about it again, if I'm Allgaier, I'm even mad at my own teammate, because like I was sitting there in a fine position to win my 100,000. That also, I'm pretty sure, is going to help.
It goes to
JRM.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, no, it's not going to come to your 8 car, but like, if they spend money that they won towards a 7 car and figure something out, you to an extent share data. Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, Allgaier wasn't happy about the way it ended either afterwards, from what I saw. And I mean, I think the only person that was happy about how it panned out was Austin Hill.
Yeah, and that's it. But in the words of Forrest Gump, that's all I got to say about that.
Yep.
Moving on to Cup this week, I do believe that our Xfinity section is going to be a lot longer than our Cup section.
For obvious reasons.
Yeah, for obvious reasons. The Cup race didn't end in pure chaos.
No.
So
Not in the slightest.
No. So starting off with Cup, Christopher Bell wins the pole. Yippee.
Yeah.
So Bell leads pretty much every lap up until lap 23, where Chase Elliott takes the lead from him. Sorry, y'all. So lap 31 brings out our first caution, which is for debris.
They actually showed it.
Yeah, I
Props
know.
to them.
Yeah, that's Fox does a lot of things wrong, typically around cautions, and where
just camera work.
Camera work, yeah. Let's just not forget the battle for the lead.
The Battle of the Grandstand.
Battle of the Grandstands at Coda. Oh my gosh. Yeah, but that's been one of my big complaints is if you're going to throw a caution for debris, show the debris.
Yeah.
Please.
I mean, because I think we all are kind of conditioned to this point to realize that sometimes there are some there's some fluky cautions getting thrown for
Yeah.
quote unquote debris that may or may not exist, and it might just be to spice things up because NASCAR is getting bored in the tower,
Yeah.
to put it bluntly.
I don't want to think that there's, some conspiracy around it, but I do kind of feel like at this point there definitely could be. But after that caution, on the restart, Josh Berry takes the lead. Lap 71. Oh, okay. I see what happened here. Busher spins out from contact with Zane Smith. It was Zane Smith, right?
That sounds right, yeah.
Yeah.
From what I remember, yeah.
So this at the time Barry's leading when this happens. So they go into pit along with a bunch of other people, and Wallace catches Barry coming out of the pits, hits him in the door, and I don't know why I thought this. I've never thought about Cup cars having batteries.
Yeah.
I just have never heard that being an issue. But yeah, Penske had battery issues.
Yeah.
All day long. So that was interesting to see. Which that, of course, lost Barry the lead.
Yeah.
So Logano wins stage 1. And then in stage 2, Austin Cindric also has battery issues in the Menards Meat Missile, sponsored by Jack Links. I think it's hilarious that they called it that. They didn't call it on the broadcast, but someone called it that.
Cindric put that on his Instagram story.
That's what it was. Yeah, it was Cindric. Because last year there was the Mayo Missile.
Yeah, the Xfinity car.
Yeah. It was. I think it was Allgaier.
Junior ran it at one point, but I think Allgaier ran it a time or two.
So on the restart for stage 2, wait, where am I at?
Chase Elliott takes the lead.
Yep, that's where I'm at. Chase Elliott takes the lead on the restart.
Which, if you're a Chase fan like me at this point, your day's looking great because no, he didn't win the first stage, but he ran very good in stage 1. He was running very good in stage 2. And, I mean, he looked like a top 2 or 3 car, it felt like.
Yeah.
But like usual, the pit stops and pit crew and pit road just kills his day.
Yeah.
It's fine. I'm fine.
Don't worry. I as a Blaney fan, didn't have the greatest day either. So Hamlin ends up taking the lead from Elliott and goes on to win stage 2, and that's about it on stage 2.
Yeah.
Pretty much just like Xfinity and Truck, stage 2 was kind of not much happened. So at lap 275, SVG loses a wheel and brings out a caution.
Which, I mean, it was like he pulls out of pit road, goes down the backstretch, thinking everything's fine, everything should be fine, goes down into turn 3 and 4, and the wheel comes off, and it just loops the car around.
Yeah. So that's a vacation for his Jackman and tire carrier. Just to add to his dismal season that he has had this far. Welcome to NASCAR. It's your
welcome to the Cup
season.
Series.
Yeah. So, then lap 306, Ty Gibbs gets spun by Reddick and then threatens to fight him. Do it.
Well, I mean,
just
go
do
for
it.
Why not?
Go for it. Like,
we've seen Ty Gibbs fight before. He punched Sam Mayer in the face in the Xfinity Series.
Granddaddy's money will get him out of any situation.
Yeah.
Except for his season this far. We haven't seen it get him out of it yet.
Not not to jump too far ahead, but I'm pretty sure this was the best finish he's had in like 14 or 15 races now this week.
Yeah, because I can't remember exactly where he finished, but
it was top 15.
yeah, and that's saying something that was a good day for him.
Yeah, we're celebrating a top 15 in the Joe Gibbs car.
Driving for a premier team, and we're gonna top 15. Yeah,
he's a joke.
So under the caution, this is something.
Well, you talking about the Gregson and Buescher?
Yeah, because
they got together in a turn.
Okay.
Buescher was low, Gregson was in the middle. I think Buescher felt like Gregson came down, but Buescher kind of did a Ty Gibbs, if you will, at this point, and drove up like on the side. And then under caution, they were like dooring each other. It looked like they weren't super thrilled.
Because after the race, they were talking to each other.
Yeah.
I don't want our listeners to think that I'm just saying every single situation should be a fight. It shouldn't be. But there are some situations like the Xfinity race where it should have been. If they wanted it to be. If not, it is what it is. Not saying I'm not promoting violence. I promise.
I mean, I think in the situation of like Ty Gibbs saying that you should keep me away from Reddick after the race, keep that little guy away from me, whatever he said, basically like, I don't think that warrants a fight. I think that it should be what they did, and Gregson and Buescher also. I think you probably get a whole lot more out of the situation if you don't walk up and punch them in the face, and you talk it out.
Yeah,
I think that's good.
Yeah, and we've seen Gregson fight before too.
Yeah,
with his the bowl cut.
Well, that one he just got punched in the face. That one wasn't really a fight.
Well, because security stepped in so quickly.
But in the Xfinity series, he did get in some fights.
It doesn't surprise me.
But I mean, in these situations, I think that's good that they didn't get in a fight on pit road. In the Xfinity series, I think there should have been fights on pit road. There's my 2 cents.
We'll leave it at that. So I couldn't remember exactly where this fell, but with Cindric's battery issue, his cool suit ends up failing. They end up just retiring the car for the day.
Well, that was so they had talked about. They were like, and it was impeccable timing on Fox's part. They were like, we have all the cars that started the race out on the track. This is the first time at Martinsville since, whatever year that it looks like we're on track to have every single car finish. And then they pan to pit road and there's Austin Cindric just pulling behind the wall, which they DNF'd him because he had the battery issue again. But Penske ran out of batteries because they'd been replacing Barry's battery and Cindric's battery. So they had no spare batteries left to put in.
Again, never thought about Cup cars having a battery. I don't know why.
Well, it's also okay. So Penske has had Blaney blow 2 engines this year.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't. Again, I'm pretty sure nobody else has blown a motor this year. At least
I don't think so.
And then, at least not like completely blown like that. Maybe had motor issues and took behind the wall, But
but not.
And then Penske again runs out of. What's going on?
Yeah.
Y'all all right?
I don't know.
Somebody go check on them.
Let me just call Roger up. Yeah, no.
It's weird.
It is.
Like,
it's weird that Penske seems to be the ones that are consecutively having issues, and then you have Joey Logano, our reigning champ, who can't get a top 10.
Well,
till this week. I mean, I'm sorry, but
like also, let's be real. Are we shocked that like the worst statistical champion to ever be in our sport is off to the worst year for a defending champion ever?
Yeah.
But then also, I guess to play devil's advocate on the Penske situation, if you think about the tracks where they have had issues so far, they are important tracks for the championship. So is that just solidifying what everybody says about that they just mess around during the year with setups and they try to figure out what works and what doesn't, and they don't care? per se until it gets crunch time, because Blaney blows a motor at Phoenix. Well, that's a championship race. So are we pushing the boundaries on that motor, trying to see what we can get to last a full race
I
for
could see
the
that.
championship? Blaney blows a motor at Homestead. Well, no, because Homestead isn't in the.
It's not in the playoffs
No.
this year, but
Okay, that one's the outlier of this situation. But then Martinsville is the cutoff.
mm-hmm.
And
then
then
you
you
got
have
battery issues with
yeah,
Barry and
but also
Cindric.
like I don't know
know how
sound,
much you can run a battery on, like,
is it something to do with
spec-wise.
weight? Like, was it a lighter weight battery? Like, so they could focus weight in different. I don't know.
I don't know, because
I don't have a degree in all of this engineering that goes into a NASCAR.
Cindric, I don't think there was anything that specifically would have been like, oh yeah, he got hit in the battery like Barry did.
Well, yeah,
So
because
I
mean,
don't know.
the battery sits up on the dash. Or the ECU sits up on the dash. I don't know. It was a very weird situation.
The way it looked when they were trying to change it on Barry was, okay, so if you're listening to this, I'm holding a 124. Who drove this car?
Jeff Burton.
Jeff Burton, singular. It looked like they were reaching down through the window net and
Like on the passenger side, they took the passenger window off.
Yeah,
somebody
yeah.
climbed in.
Yeah, and they were reaching back behind like where there would be a passenger door if it was a regular like sedan.
Well, look in the window of that one. You can see like the blue.
Yeah.
You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
That's like where they were. I mean, that's a older one. It'd be nice to. It's throwback week, so we have all old diecast out here. But it'd have been nice to have
our shirts
and
the hat. Yeah.
But this would have been a nice time to have
a new one.
Yeah,
sitting
but
here.
I mean, essentially they were going like. I mean, they had like he was cave diving in the side of the car.
Yeah,
it looked like.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's an odd occurrence that you have to DNF a car because you're out of batteries.
Yeah.
I mean, that might be something that we could just add to the list that we've never seen before at this point. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. It's very, very interesting, and I guess bring more batteries to the racetrack.
Well, I don't know if that's something that they limit how much you can bring.
That's
because
true.
If you think about it, I think Barry went through the one he's like, so the one he started with went out. They replaced it. Did that one have issues? The replacement, like, didn't he come down more than Cindric for battery or no?
I don't remember.
Because I don't know if you can have a battery. Like, if you're a 4-car team, you can have a battery. Well,
an extra battery,
quote unquote 4-car team, because Penske's. But if you can have an extra battery per car, or if it's like there's only a certain amount that you can. Because I know like Penske takes 2 backups to the race for their 3 cars and the 1 Wood Brothers.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's a limit on also, like, do they have to go take that off the backup car? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. And also, can you pull parts from a backup car? This is very inside baseball for sure.
We might have to do some research on this.
Yeah, definitely something I didn't expect to need to know how many batteries that Penske brings to the track. So
not enough for last weekend.
Yeah, apparently not enough. So lap 317, Briscoe slides up and spins Logano out, which you would think would give Logano an absolute terrible finish, like he has this entire season. But Logano still gets his first top 10 at the end of this race of the season. Your defending champion. But then from lap 317, not 317. Yeah, 317, my bad. Nothing really happens. Denny Hamlin wins the race. Denny Hamlin wins the race. And he has his wheel flag that is copying the Ohio State flag. So yeah, he. I guess that's like his slogan, because like last year it was like.
So what I saw on social media, because at first I was like, oh, here we go again, Denny Hamlin being corny. What's new?
Typical.
Like, I can't say I beat your favorite driver anymore, because that one got old. So but what it ended up being was one of his fans that had like a track pass had that flag like custom made.
Oh,
And it was his
okay.
birthday weekend. So they like took before the race, took a picture, Denny and the fan and his wife, girlfriend, fiance, whatever she may be, and they had that. And one way or another, Denny's team ended up with the flag in case they won, and they were gonna break it out. So that was like to make the fans' birthday weekend special.
Okay. Well, that's cool.
So yeah, I mean, as much as I want to hate on the guy for it, like it was pretty in that way, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Definitely. Don't ever bring that flag back. That's corny as all get out, but that's fine in that moment.
Yeah.
So, actually, bring the flag back before we say I beat your favorite driver again.
Yeah. Yeah, come up with something better. But Denny Hamlin gets his 55th career win, which ties him at Rusty Wallace, which also Martinsville is where Rusty Wallace got his 55th win, which was also his last win that he had.
Yeah. Will history repeat itself?
Unfortunately, I don't think so.
No, I'm with you on that one. It is
because that's the thing. It's been 10 years since he's won at Martinsville, and it's not like he's just been terrible at Martinsville. He's always been up there. Yeah. It just hasn't. He hasn't sealed the deal until this one.
Yeah.
But Denny also gets the fastest lap.
Yeah.
For this race, and your top 5 was Denny, Christopher Bell, Bubba Wallace, Chase Elliott, and Kyle Larson.
Which Chase finishing 4th is good, solid day, but I don't know. I don't know where that team needs to do something different other than like I know they've had pit road issues this year, but like it just felt like early in the race he had the best car. And then everybody else started making adjustments, and I don't know, it felt like they fell behind on adjustments, but every time they'd go into pit, it felt like they were like, and what did Chase Elliott say about his car this run? And the pit reporter would be like, well, he told his team that it was overall really good. It just had one slight issue here. Let's not touch it. Maybe we should mess with the car. If everybody else is making their car better through the race, maybe we should.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I wish he could win more often than he does, but, you know, what are you going to do about it?
Not much you can. But on to Darlington this week. We have Throwback Week. Some pretty freaking cool paint schemes this week.
Yeah.
You know,
some gas,
yeah,
some heaters,
for sure.
As the kids would say.
Yeah, which we can actually just talk about a few of them because our TikTok comes out of the paint scheme reviews before this does. Yeah, like I mean, the Cindric scheme being announced first, I was like, oh yeah, this year is gonna have some heaters for sure. And it was like we started off hot with the announcements. I mean, you had Cindric, you had Josh Berry. Josh Berry's is freaking cool. I know it's not a throwback to a Cup car, but it still looks cool.
Yeah,
But it's like, then after that you had Larson with
it's awesome,
the awesome Tony the Tiger look,
the Kellogg's throwback,
and then you have Chase Elliott.
Hendrick, And here's the thing: I wanted to blame Universe to start this whole ordeal with because I was like, oh, maybe they didn't want to change changed every color on that car last year to make the perfect throwback to Dale Jr. And then this year, I'm sorry, but if you don't look up what car it's supposed to be throwing back to,
you don't
know.
It's like what they fumbled Chase's car so bad.
Because, like, you could even, like, twist the Universe colors and make, like, some of the greens a little different shade and have that car. And it would have looked good.
I mean, Larson's banger. Byron, absolute banger.
Which, I mean, it helps that the Exalta is still the sponsor today, and it was when Gordon ran the car. So it is just the only thing different about that car is the 24 slid up.
Even if Exalta wasn't, it still would have been dope.
Logano his
Logano's
throwback
cool.
is awesome.
Bowman's. I love that
mean,
car.
it's
That
spot
black
on.
and white looks dope. How did Hendrick do so freaking bad
Oh, it's bad.
with Chase Elliott?
But I will say, I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about this. I don't know if it's worse to not bring a throwback scheme to the throwback weekend or bring the 9 car.
I would rather a bad throwback
Yeah,
scheme.
no, that's
than,
I get.
yeah,
Yeah, because I mean,
it's a week that I personally look forward to it because I love the different paint schemes every week.
Like Cole Custer throwing back to the old Target 41 car. It's cool. The 42 John Hunter Nemechek, I like that one. That's a good throwback. Eric Jones 43. I mean, that one is up there for one of the better ones. I mean, it's hard to mess up a 43 throwback. Let's see what else.
Even the Long John Silver car. That's not a throwback, but it's throwback to the old Long John Silver logo. It looks cool.
And I mean, Gregson has a really cool throwback to Dale Jr.'s very first Xfinity car. I think it was the 31. I don't love the Ty Dillon throwback, but it still looks. Let's be honest, it looks better than the normal car. They should probably just run that every week.
True.
Denny Hamlin's throwback to Carl Edwards is awesome. Blaney's.
I like Blaney's. I think what makes it cool is the fact that it was his dad's car.
I just wish that they could have messed with the colors.
Yeah,
that's the only thing.
Yeah,
that's the only thing you can ding that one on. But then I don't like either car Christopher Bell has this weekend.
I don't mind the Cup one. That the old school DeWalt looks pretty cool.
I think I'm just gonna sound like a hater on this because it looks fine. Don't get me wrong. It's not great. I like how Josh Berry's looks, but let's throw back to NASCAR's. Maybe I sound
I get that.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand that for sure, but I mean, it's also.
But at least they put the effort in, and they're not showing up Trackhouse doesn't have a single throwback. Which I mean, Ross Chastain's car is awesome. Don't get me wrong.
The Quaker State Suarez's car looks
that's
dope.
Good. RCR. I'm sorry, you have the number 3 car.
Yeah, that's another thing. Why are we having RCR, who is next to the Wood Brothers,
the most historic
team? Why are they not doing one single thing for it?
I mean, and you could even throw back to Richard Childress. He ran the 3 car at one point.
Yeah.
And Dale. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people, even if you like him, are well, all he ever ran was the black car. I mean, there are different versions of it, and I know he has ran Dale throwbacks at points.
I want someone to do a throwback to the one time Dale did a pink car.
Oh yeah, the
I
Peter
think that'd
Max
be
car.
sick.
But I mean, the 8 you could do a junior throwback. There's different things you could do there. I don't know. It almost and the Xfinity teams. I saw a meme about this is the weekend that the mid-tier Xfinity teams just go crazy.
Yeah,
and it's true.
Even Xfinity killed it this year on the throwbacks, and because I don't remember last year all that much of Xfinity for throwback.
They usually do pretty good at it.
Yeah, because I don't remember last year what they did or who did what. But
I mean, I love the throwback weekend, and I don't want what I'm about to say to make me sound like a hater of the throwback weekend. But if we can't get everybody to show up with a throwback scheme, has it ran its course? Do we need to take a year or 2 off of doing it? So then,
no,
not that it doesn't feel special, but why can we not all bring throwback schemes?
Yeah,
even throwback to when you ran a go-kart or you ran a Bandolero or you ran a Legend or if you ran dirt, whatever. Throwback to something like that.
Pick an old scheme that you used to do.
Or a lot of people now that grew up watching NASCAR pick your favorite scheme. I mean, not all of them have to be like Carson Quatfall's throwing back to Jamie McMurray. Jamie McMurray ran a Bass Pro Shops 1 car. That makes sense. That's a layup. Parker Retzloff doing the Kodak throwback, the 4 car. Okay, that makes sense. But then Allgaier's throwback isn't really even to a NASCAR throwback. It's just
just the old
brand.
logo.
Yeah, and that's cool. I don't know.
Yeah. But getting into Darlington, our past next gen winners, 2022, you had apparently I wrote Logano, and then the fall you had Eric Jones. 2023, you had Byron, and then Larson.
Which I was in attendance for the Larson win.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. And then 2024, you had Keselowski, and the fall race was when Briscoe punched his way into the playoffs last year.
Kind of shocked everybody.
Yeah.
Made some Kyle Busch fans cry.
I'm one of them. But I don't remember who went first last week on picks, but we butchered the picks last week. I looked back; it was bad. We don't even got to bring it up.
We haven't done great this year so far. Let's be honest.
Yeah, neither of us have, and especially me.
But we're tied right now.
Oh, we are tied. All right, so I'll do my picks first. I'm going for Xfinity. I'm going Allgaier and then Cup. I'm going to say Briscoe because he pulled it through last year in a car that was for a team that was shutting its doors. And this year he's in better equipment, and I could see him winning it.
Yeah, I could see it.
So who you got?
I just won't pick him because he burnt me already once this year on a similar logic. But Xfinity, I'm going Chase Elliott. He's done good there in the past in the Xfinity Series. He won last year at Charlotte in the Xfinity Series. I know it's a different track, but he has had recent success in the 17 car for the Xfinity Series. And then Cup, it's a boring pick, but Kyle Larson.
Not a bad move. So I believe that is all we've got for this week. So we have a little, I guess you could say an announcement. I don't know. Whatever. We will be at Talladega at the end of this month. If you want to come say hi, we're going to be in Moss Thornton Tower D.
Yeah.
I don't know how seats work there. I've never been to Dega, but it's my first time. I'm excited. Blake's been a few times.
A lot.
But yeah, we'll be out there. We'll be handing out trading cards in the fan zone and all that good stuff. But that is all we've got for you guys this week. You can check us out, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible. Follow us on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. Am I missing anything? YouTube. There we go. That's it. And we will see you guys next week. Bye.